Every year, MLB The Show adds more and more of our favorite legends of baseball's past into the game. We've had greats like Ken Griffey Jr., Ted Williams, and even the Babe himself. There will certainly be another batch of greats getting added into the Show 19, and I have some guys who I would love to see in the upcoming game. This is my top 10 list of legends that I think should be in MLB The Show 19. We're going to be starting off our list with one of baseball's true all-time greats, the greatest reliever of all time, Mariano Rivera. Not much has to be said about Mo. We all know that he has the most saves ever. We all know that more men have walked on the moon than he is allowed to score in the postseason, so his reputation really speaks for itself. He also leads all relievers in career WAR at 56.2, which is far ahead of anyone else. If he is in the game, there's no doubt that he's going to be a 99 overall immortal. Another player just inducted into the Hall of Fame, Doc Halladay was one of the best pitchers from 2000 to 2011. Everyone knows him for his perfect game against the Marlins in 2010, followed up by his no-hitter in the playoffs in the same year versus the Reds. Having a legendary card in MLB The Show 19 would be a nice tribute to this fantastic pitcher, and would certainly make a lot of Toronto Blue Jays and Philadelphia Phillies fans very happy. Now, this is one of the ones that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. Besides being inducted into the Hall of Fame a few years ago, Pedro is still pretty involved in baseball, being an analyst on TV and all. Besides that, he is also one of the nastiest pitchers of all time, and he'd be a great addition to have in the game. He has a career WAR of 84, which is top 20 for pitchers of all time. This is a testament to just how good he was in a massively offensive-oriented era. Randy Johnson is another legendary pitcher that played in the ridiculously steroid-fueled era known as the late 90s and early 2000s, and he might have been arguably better than Pedro was. His career WAR was 103.6, which is 9th among every pitcher ever. That's higher than guys like Nolan Ryan, Warren Spahn, and Christy Mathewson. This just goes to show that Randy Johnson was absolutely nasty over the course of his career, and he would be a really nice addition to have in the Show 19. Jim Thome is one of the low-key GOATs of the 90s and 2000s. He accumulated 612 home runs over the course of his career, leading to his recent induction into the Hall of Fame. Having him and his enormous pop in the game would be an absolute blast, and you could have plenty of variations of him for a number of different teams, as he certainly made the rounds in his playing days. Plus, who's going to say no to all that sweet lefty power? Roberto Clemente is one of the most storied players in baseball history, between his playing career and his overall legacy. On top of his great career, he was also a really good person. From getting his 3,000th hit, to tragically passing away in a plane crash trying to deliver supplies to a country that desperately needed it, he was just an all-around fantastic person. And to be honest, it's surprising he hasn't been in an MLB The Show game yet, considering his massive popularity among baseball fans everywhere around the world. Having him as a potential immortal would be a nice tribute to an amazing baseball player, and an amazing guy as well. Remember in the Show 16 when Reggie was one of the most feared cards in the entire game? But then, after that year, he just never made a reappearance. What's up with that? Using him back in MLB The Show 16 was super fun. Obviously, Barry Bonds himself won't ever be in the game, because he wasn't even in it back when he did play, because of Players Association licensing issues, but based on how good he was, being the all-time home run leader, the single-season home run leader, winning like 7 MVP awards, and being arguably one of the best baseball players of all time, Reggie should certainly be playable again. Him not being in the game is almost as much of a travesty as him not being in the Hall of Fame. Oh wait. Just like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens is one of the most controversial players in baseball history, despite being one of the best pitchers ever. Putting steroid allegations aside, Clemens was absurdly good, and his numbers definitely reflect that. He had a career WAR of 139, which is third among all pitchers career-wise, which is just kind of absurd and hard to fathom to begin with. But then when you note that he also did it in an offensive heavy era, which was fueled by steroids, makes things even more impressive. You know, regardless of any allegations or anything like that, Clemens should probably be in the Hall of Fame. But having him in MLB The Show 19 would be a good start. Alex Rodriguez went from being one of the most disliked baseball players of all time to being a pretty well-respected analyst. Not to mention, he's also one of the greatest baseball players to ever live. As you can see from the last few guys on my list, my stance on these steroid guys is pretty clear. Despite all of his stupid mistakes, A-Rod did have an amazing career. Over 3,000 hits, almost 700 home runs. He would fit perfectly as an immortal. And, you know, just to throw in a little bit more shade, he should be a Hall of Famer too. Finally, rounding out the list at number 10, we have another alleged steroid user, David Ortiz. He's a guy who's more than likely Hall of Fame bound, as he did have a Hall of Fame worthy career, and he's one of the few steroid guys who genuinely is just gonna probably make it in, no problem. Him and his 500 home runs would be a fine addition to the Show 19, and maybe it would even be a good enough reason for San Diego Studios to finally put a DH option into Diamond Dynasty. Ortiz is a really good hitter, and even though he's only 2 years removed from being in the game, throwing him back in would be a pretty nice addition to the already impressive list of legends. Well, unfortunately guys, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and make sure to comment down below what new legends you want to see in MLB The Show 19. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.